You thought you were awakening, but now you feel lost again. Maybe you had that breakthrough moment where everything clicked, where you saw through the illusions that used to run your life. But now you're confused. Maybe even more confused than before you started this whole journey. And your mind is telling you, I must be failing. I must have fallen off my path. There is a common belief that spiritual growth moves in straight lines, that once you have a breakthrough, you should stay in the afterglow permanently. But real growth moves back and forth as you slowly refine your process. Not everything reveals itself at once, and you need time to adjust. You haven't gone backwards. You have become too aware to enjoy unconsciousness. What feels like regression is actually your expanded awareness rejecting the old patterns that no longer fit. Before we continue, if you're ready to break free from the repeating patterns that hold you back, check out my free guide, 5 Inner Blocks That Keep You from Deep Spiritual Growth. The link is waiting for you in the top comment below. Once you see through something, you can't unsee it. This is the core truth that changes everything. When awareness expands, it doesn't contract back to its old size. It's like trying to squeeze into clothes you wore as a child. It won't fit the way it used to. Your old habits stop feeling good because you've outgrown them, not because you're failing at something. The mindless scrolling that used to numb you now feels hollow. Those conversations that used to excite you now feel empty. The pursuits that used to drive you now feel pointless. Your old identities feel tight and fake because your awareness has shifted to a new baseline. The old range of experience becomes incompatible with who you've become. You try to force yourself back into those familiar patterns, thinking maybe you can recapture that old ease. But there's a physical discomfort now. It's like trying to squeeze expanded consciousness into smaller structures. Your body rebels. Your mind resists. Something in you says no, before you even realize why. Old conversations feel painful because you can see the unconscious patterns playing out. People complaining about the same things they complained about last month, last year. People defending positions they've never really examined. People lost in stories that you've learned to see through. The dramas that used to pull you in now feel boring. Not because you become superior or detached, but because you've tasted something more real. You've tasted what it's like to actually be present instead of just reacting to everything. You know the difference between just automatically reacting to whatever happens to you and choosing how to respond. What used to feel like connection now feels like performance. Small talk becomes uncomfortable because you can feel the gap between what people are saying and what they're actually feeling. You want to connect with what's real in them, but they're offering you the surface. Someone asks, "How are you?" And you can sense they don't really want to know. They want the automatic, "Fine, thanks," that keeps the social machinery running smoothly. But you lost the ability to participate in that mechanical exchange. You want to say, "I'm questioning everything I thought I knew about reality." But you know that would make them deeply uncomfortable. This friction is completely natural. It's your awareness expanding beyond its old boundaries. And that expansion creates this healthy pressure that moves you forward. Your awareness is like water that's found a new channel. It can't flow backwards to where it used to be. The old grooves don't hold it anymore. You might try to go back to your old values, your old way of seeing the world, but they feel foreign now, like putting on someone else's clothes. What once felt natural now feels forced. What once felt meaningful now feels arbitrary. The mind wants to make this mean something's wrong with you. Why can't I just be normal? Why can't I enjoy the things I used to enjoy? But normal was unconscious. Normal was living inside patterns without seeing them. Normal was believing your thoughts without questioning them. You're experiencing the birth pains of a larger self trying to emerge. The old container is too small, but the new one hasn't fully formed yet. So you're in this in-between space where nothing feels quite right. It's like being a trapeze artist who has let go of one bar but hasn't yet caught the next one. You're suspended in mid-air, no longer supported by what you used to hold on to, but not yet grasping what comes next. This moment of suspension is terrifying and necessary. This is why spiritual awakening often feels uncomfortable. It's not a gentle, gradual process where you slowly become more peaceful. It's more like outgrowing your entire life while still having to live it. The old ways of being become impossible, but the new ways aren't yet clear. You're caught between worlds, too awake to go back to sleep, but not yet fully awake to what's emerging. You might find yourself sitting in meetings that feel surreal, having conversations that feel like you're not speaking the same language, participating in activities that feel like elaborate games you no longer want to play. This friction is the sign that something real is happening. Your awareness is expanding, and expansion always creates pressure before it creates freedom. And here's what makes it even more challenging. You're often the only one in your circle who's going through this. Your friends and family are still operating from their old patterns, still finding meaning in things that no longer make sense to you. So not only are you outgrowing your old life, you're also becoming isolated from the people who knew the old version of you. They might say things like, "You changed," or "You used to be more fun," or "Why are you so serious now?" And they're right, you have changed. But you can't explain to them that you haven't become more serious. You just become more aware of what's actually happening beneath the surface of things. Awareness never shrinks back to its old size once it expands. This is the fundamental law that governs consciousness itself. You can't unlearn how to read once you learned. You can't unsee a magic trick once you know how it works. And you can't return to unconsciousness once you've tasted what it means to be awake. The old version of you only worked because it was unconscious. It was like sleepwalking through life, functional but not really awake. You could lose yourself in distractions because you didn't know they were distractions. You could get caught up in dramas because you didn't see them as dramas. You could believe your thoughts completely because you didn't know the difference between thinking and being. But once awareness expands, the door to your previous level quietly locks behind you. There's no going back, because the you that would go back doesn't exist anymore. You've seen through that unconscious self. You realized it was just a collection of habits and reactions, not a solid, unchanging thing. What feels like regression is your awakened part resisting the old way of being. When you try to slip back into unconscious patterns, something in you rebels. It's not that you're failing to return to normal. It's that old normal has become impossible. You're operating from a higher point of view even on your most confused days, even when you feel lost. Even when you doubt everything you thought you knew about awakening, you're watching from a place of expanded awareness. The confusion you're experiencing is actually more conscious than your old certainties ever were. The journey is about learning to live from this new level of awareness. It's about finding your footing in expanded consciousness rather than trying to squeeze back into the old, smaller version of yourself. Some days this feels like a blessing. You can see through illusions that used to trap you. You're now free from patterns that used to run your life. Other days it feels like a curse. You can't just zone out and be mindless anymore. You can't lose yourself in unconscious pleasures the way you used to. There is a loneliness that comes with awakening that no one really talks about. It's not just being alone. It's being awake in a world of sleeping people. It's seeing clearly while everyone around you is still looking through the fog of their conditioning. But here's what you need to understand. Your discomfort isn't a sign that something is wrong. It's a sign that something's right. Your awareness have grown too large for your old life, and that's exactly what's supposed to happen. You're not broken. You're not regressing. You're not failing at awakening. You're experiencing the natural growth pains of consciousness that's outgrown its old container. The old you is dissolving and the new you is still emerging. This in-between space is uncomfortable, but it's also sacred. It's where transformation actually happens. The discomfort you're feeling is like the discomfort of a butterfly struggling to emerge from its cocoon. The old form is dissolving, but the new form isn't yet ready to fly. This process can't be rushed. It has its own timing, its own intelligence, its own way of unfolding. Before we wrap up, if you found this helpful and want to go deeper, remember that free download I mentioned, 5 inner blocks that keep you from deep spiritual growth. The link is waiting for you in the top comment below. You haven't lost your way. You become too conscious for your old patterns, and that discomfort is growth, not failure. The confusion you're feeling isn't evidence that you're going backwards. It's proof that you can't return to unconsciousness. This friction you're experiencing is awareness expanding beyond its old boundaries. Trust that your consciousness is guiding you forward, one uncomfortable step at a time, turning you into something larger than you used to be.